Let's build the drone.
Alright, let's do it. So what are we looking at? First up, we have the frame. Flight controller. ESC or electronic speed controller. Camera. VTX or video transmitter. Motors. Radio receiver. Lithium polymer battery. And our HD video camera. First, we're going to take our motors and screw them onto the arms. And then we're going to take our ESC and position it on the frame how we would like it. And then we're going to take our motor leads and solder them up to the corresponding terminals, which are these 6 pins here on each side. Corresponding to the through wires. Alright, and there we go. Now you can see that while I was doing that, I also soldered the battery lead. And what I did is what I set it up to be at about a 90-degree angle from what it usually was, so I can bend it around this post here and zip tie it off for a bit of strain relief, and then it will come up here to the battery. And I also soldered on top of the battery lead these extra kind of peripheral leads, and this will go to the capacitor, which is gonna have to go back here, but having it somewhere in the line is definitely better than not having it, so I'm still gonna go ahead with that anyway. And now I'm just gonna quickly put a thin layer of electrical tape over the motor wires just to help keep them out of the way. I got carried away. Okay, so apparently building a drone while on camera is harder than I thought. I got a little frustrated because working with such small components can be just that, frustrating. And after a little while, I turned the camera off and just kind of put my nose to the grindstone and got it done. It took 2 days. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just going to take it pretty much apart and show you how everything works and how everything fits together. So piece by piece, let's just go through it. And there we have the camera, which is a GoPro Hero Session 5, or not a Hero, just a Session 5, I think. Anyway, what I've done here is it's just a 3D printed case, and it has been soft mounted. That's what the little blue things are, and they're more or less rubber springs. And what they're there for is the propellers and motors generate a lot of high frequency noise which can interfere with the video quality. You can get what's called jello, which is basically the camera vibrating at a very high frequency, and it can cause the entire image to kind of warble. So that's what that's for. If you've ever seen maybe a DJI Phantom up close, they have something very similar to this on the underside of the gimbal, again, where the camera is held. And it's there for the exact same reason. Okay, next, let's take the top off here, and there we go. So there's a lot going on here, but let's go from the front to the back. So up here we have the camera. This takes a very low resolution but very low latency video signal and sends that to my FPV goggles. And then here we have the battery cable, which goes down deeper into the drone to the positive and negative terminals, which are kind of hidden back here. And all this really does is it plugs into the battery, which sits on top of the drone. And then here we have the flight controller. It's mounted upside down just for cleanliness. You can kind of see back down in there is where all the wires are. And then this big block here that this thicker cable leads out of is what's called the VTX, or video transmitter. And this takes, okay, so the path of the video signal kind of goes like this. It comes from the camera. That's what this yellow cable coming from the camera is. It goes to the flight controller, and in the flight controller it gets information kind of stamped on top of it, and that shows me things like how long it's been in the air, what the current battery voltage is so I don't over discharge it, and just kind of basic information like that. And then that video signal comes back out of the flight controller and goes to the video transmitter, which is then processed and sent out through this cable to the antenna that sticks out of the back of the drone. And it's out the back because carbon fiber can interfere with signal strength. It's still not quite as far away from the drone as I'd like it, but it's perfectly fine for now. And then the signal is radiated out of the antenna and then received by my goggles. Okay, and let's see if we can get past all the rat's nest of cables down here. And down in there is the ESC, or electronic speed controller. And what this does is it takes both power from the battery and a signal from the flight controller and converts it into 3 phases, which you can see by the 3 terminals to each motor. There's 6 on each side, so 12 total. Brushless motors are a little bit more complicated to drive than brushed ones, so that's as far into as it'll get right now, but that's about all you'd really need to know. Alright, and this piece right here is the radio receiver, and it's very similar to a video transmitter, but instead of transmitting video, it takes the stick inputs from my radio transmitter, or the controller, and it receives it through these 2 rather large antennas that stick out of the arms at 90 degrees, both to the arms and to each other. And the reason they're oriented like this is to just keep them away from the carbon fiber, which has a tendency to block and or absorb signals, and to keep them oriented differently from each other to reduce the amount of what are called dead zones, which is basically just blind spots in the area that any individual antenna can receive. And then this tiny black box down here, and this is the beeper. And what this does is it screams at you. Generally what will set it off is if it loses connection to the radio. Like if you hit something, you get stuck in a tree. Having one of these makes it infinitely easier to find. And I believe that's pretty much it. I'm sorry this went quite a bit off the rails there. It wasn't, this was never really meant to be a tutorial. I'm just kind of testing the waters here, but if you stuck with me this far, I really appreciate it. And if you gained something from this video, then that's great, I'm glad to hear it. But based on how it went, I wouldn't be too surprised if some people are still confused. There are definitely more in-depth videos on this exact subject. I just kind of wanted to try my hand on it and see how it went, and now I know. So that's good information for me in the future. But anyway, that's enough talk. What do you say we go fly?
It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. It is a road that you go. It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. And you will know when you get there. It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. It is a road that you go. It's a road that you go when you die. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's got Princess Peach, Mario, and the Toad. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. We'll go. It's Rainbow Road. It's where you go when you die. It's Rainbow Road. I'll miss you again, Uncle. It's Rainbow Road. It's where you